The rain started just as I pushed through the restaurant's back door for the last time. Not the gentle spring drizzle that brings out the smell of fresh earth, but the kind of cold, punishing downpour that seems designed specifically to match your misery. I didn't have an umbrella. I didn't have a car anymore either. I'd sold it 3 months ago to help cover the restaurant's temporary cash flow problem. My name is Marcus Chen, and until 4 hours ago, I was the head chef and part owner of the Golden Lotus, the restaurant I'd poured 12 years of my life into building. The restaurant where I'd sacrificed relationships, sleep, and every penny I'd ever saved. The restaurant that Raymond Kellerman, my business partner and supposed friend, had just gambled away in a single weekend in Atlantic City. According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. I walked through the downpour in my kitchen clogs, still wearing my chef's whites, now translucent and clinging to my skin. People stared from under awnings and umbrellas, but I didn't care. Each step away from the Golden Lotus felt like walking away from my own grave. It had started when Angela, our accountant, had called me into the office that afternoon. Her face was pale, her hands trembling as she slid a folder across the desk. "Marcus, I need you to see this before anyone else does." Inside were bank statements, withdrawal records, and a stack of cash advance receipts. Over the past 6 months, Raymond had systematically drained the restaurant's accounts. The final blow had come last weekend. He'd taken out a title loan on the property itself and lost everything at the poker tables. "We're being foreclosed on," Angela whispered. "The bank takes possession in 30 days. I'm so sorry, Marcus. I only just discovered it. He'd been hiding the statements, forging your signatures on the loan documents." I'd confronted Raymond in his office immediately, found him packing his personal belongings into boxes, preparing to disappear like the coward he was. "It was supposed to be a sure thing," he'd said, not even looking at me. "I had a system. I was going to win it all back and more. How was I supposed to know? 12 years. I'd cut him off, my voice eerily calm. 12 years of 18-hour days. My mother's life savings that she gave me instead of keeping for her retirement. Anna leaving me because I chose this place over our marriage. All of it, Raymond. You've destroyed all of it." He'd had the audacity to look annoyed. "Oh, don't be so dramatic, Marcus. It's just a restaurant. You're talented. You'll bounce back, open another place. Just a restaurant." I'd walked out before I did something I'd regret. But now, trudging through the rain toward my studio apartment, I realized that walking away was its own form of regret. Raymond would vanish. He'd declare bankruptcy, skip town, maybe even change his name. He'd done it before. I'd learned that little detail from Angela, too. This wasn't his first failed business venture, just his first successful con. And I would be left with nothing. No restaurant, no savings, no career prospects at 42 years old, with a massive business failure on my record. While Raymond would be sipping cocktails somewhere warm, I'd be explaining to my elderly mother why her sacrifice had been for nothing. The injustice of it burned hotter than any stove I'd ever worked. I was still 5 blocks from home when I passed the Copper Kettle, a dingy pub where service industry workers went to drink away their troubles. Through the rain-streaked window, I saw someone I recognized, Tommy Breslin, an investigative journalist who'd done a piece on the Golden Lotus 2 years ago. We'd become friendly, exchanging the occasional text about food or corruption in the city's restaurant inspection system. On impulse, I pushed inside. Tommy looked up from his whiskey, took in my soaked appearance and hollow eyes, and immediately waved me over. "Marcus, Jesus, you look like you've been through hell. Sit down before you collapse." The story poured out of me along with the rainwater dripping from my clothes. Tommy listened, his reporter's instincts sharpening with every detail. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Raymond Kellerman," he finally said. "That name's familiar. Give me a second." He pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. His eyes widened. "Oh, Marcus, your partner's even worse than you think." He turned his phone to show me. Article after article about Raymond's history. 3 other business partners he'd bankrupted. A lawsuit from his ex-wife claiming he'd gambled away their children's college funds. An investigation into potential ties with illegal gambling operations. "He's a serial con artist," Tommy said grimly, "and he's always gotten away with it because his victims can't prove intent. He makes it look like bad business decisions and genuine gambling addiction rather than calculated theft." "So he'll get away with it again," I said flatly. "Not necessarily." Tommy leaned forward. "What if we exposed him? A full investigative piece. His pattern of behavior, his victims, everything. I've been looking for a story like this. White-collar crime that destroys ordinary people's lives while the perpetrators walk free." "A newspaper article won't get my restaurant back." "No," Tommy admitted, "but it might stop him from doing this to someone else, and it might make him think twice before he tries to disappear and reinvent himself somewhere new." I stared into the beer Tommy had ordered for me. Revenge through journalism felt hollow. I wanted Raymond to feel what I felt, to lose everything that mattered to him the way he'd taken everything from me. "What matters to Raymond?" I asked aloud. "What?" "You've researched him. What does he actually care about? Not money. He throws that away. What does he value?" Tommy considered this. His reputation, his image. He's always cultivating these wealthy friends, trying to get into exclusive clubs, be seen at the right parties. He's desperate to be accepted by high society. An idea began forming in my mind. Dark, elaborate, possibly insane, but perfect. "Tommy, how would you like an exclusive story? Not just about Raymond's past, but about his downfall? Something that would destroy his social standing forever." Tommy's eyes gleamed with journalistic hunger. "I'm listening." Over the next 3 hours, as the rain continued outside and I slowly stopped shivering, we crafted a plan. The first step was research. Tommy used his press credentials and investigative resources to dig into every aspect of Raymond's life. Meanwhile, I reached out to every contact I'd made in 12 years of running a successful restaurant. The vendors, the socialites who'd hosted private events, the food critics, the other restaurant owners. What I learned was illuminating. Raymond owed money everywhere, not just to banks and casinos, but to loan sharks, to his wealthy friends who'd fronted him cash for investment opportunities, even to his own aging parents who'd mortgaged their house to help him. More importantly, I learned that Raymond had been bragging. Even as he bankrupted our restaurant, he'd been telling people at his country club that he was about to close a major deal, selling the Golden Lotus to a high-end hotel chain for millions. He'd invented an entire fantasy acquisition, complete with fake negotiations and promised returns for anyone who wanted to invest in the deal. He'd taken money from these people too. Lots of money. "He's been running a Ponzi scheme on top of everything else," Tommy said, amazed. "Marcus, this is bigger than we thought." Phase 2 began 3 days later. I'd called in every favor, cashed in every relationship chip I had. The result was a private dinner party at the Golden Lotus. One last hurrah before the foreclosure, or so Raymond thought when I proposed it to him. "We should go out with dignity," I'd told him on the phone, swallowing my rage. "Invite our best customers, our investors, everyone who made this place special. One final service to say thank you and goodbye." Raymond, ever the social climber, loved the idea. He immediately started inviting everyone from his country club, all the wealthy people he owed money to, all the society figures he desperately wanted to impress. What Raymond didn't know was that I'd already spoken to each of these people. I'd told them the truth about the gambling, the hidden debts, the fake hotel acquisition. I'd shown them Angela's documentation, the bank statements, the forged signatures. Most importantly, I'd told them that Raymond had been planning to skip town with their investment money. They were furious, but I'd convinced them to play along, to come to the dinner, to help me expose Raymond in the most public, humiliating way possible. The night of the dinner, the Golden Lotus looked magnificent. I'd used the last of my personal credit to make it perfect. Candles on every table, our best linens, flowers everywhere. I prepared the menu myself, every dish a masterpiece. This would be my final service, my goodbye to the restaurant I loved, and I was going to make it count. Raymond arrived in a new suit, all smiles and handshakes, working the room like the con artist he was. He had no idea he was walking into an ambush. 50 people attended, the entire country club elite that Raymond had been courting. His investors, several other business owners he'd destroyed, even his ex-wife, whom I'd tracked down through Tommy's research. And in the corner, cameras. Tommy had brought a videographer, disguised as hired help to document the evening. I served the first 3 courses personally, watching Raymond bask in what he thought was his social triumph. He gave a speech between the appetizer and the fish course, thanking everyone for their friendship and support during this difficult transition. Then came the main course. As I placed the plates in front of each guest, I also placed an envelope. Inside each envelope was a personalized packet of information. Exactly how much Raymond owed that particular person, copies of his forged documents, and bank records showing where their money had gone. For the people he'd destroyed in previous business ventures, there were complete timelines of his pattern of fraud. I watched from the kitchen doorway as, one by one, people opened their envelopes, the color draining from faces, the angry whispers building to outraged conversations. Raymond noticed something was wrong. He stood, confused, looking around the room at the fury building in every direction. That's when I emerged from the kitchen and asked for everyone's attention. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight. I know Raymond told you this dinner was a celebration, a farewell to a successful business, but I think it's time we all heard the truth." Raymond's face went pale. "Marcus, what are you—" "For 12 years, I built this restaurant," I continued, my voice steady. "I sacrificed everything for it. My marriage, my savings, my mother's retirement fund, and Raymond Kellerman gambled it all away in a single weekend in Atlantic City." Gasps around the room. Raymond started toward me, but 2 of his friends, both of whom he owed 6 figures, blocked his path. "But that's not all," I went on. "As you've just seen in your envelopes, Raymond has been stealing from all of you too. The hotel acquisition, a complete fabrication. Your investments, gone, fed into slot machines and poker tables while Raymond lied to your faces." "This is slander," Raymond shouted. "Marcus is bitter because he was a terrible business partner." "Is it slander when we have bank records?" Tommy stepped forward, his press badge visible now. "Mr. Kellerman, I'm Tommy Breslin from the Metropolitan Gazette. I've been investigating you for weeks, and I have documentation of fraud going back 15 years. Multiple victims, multiple cities, always the same pattern. Would you care to comment on camera?" The room erupted, people shouting questions, making accusations, pulling out their phones to call lawyers. Raymond tried to run, literally heading for the door, but found it blocked by 2 police officers. "Mr. Kellerman," one of them said, "we have questions about multiple fraud allegations. We're going to need you to come with us." It turned out that while I'd been planning public humiliation, Tommy had been coordinating with law enforcement. Between the documented fraud against the restaurant, the forged loan documents, and the investment scheme, there was enough evidence for criminal charges. As the police led Raymond away in handcuffs, not arrested yet, but definitely being detained for questioning, he looked at me with pure hatred. "You've destroyed me," he hissed. "No," I said quietly. "You destroyed yourself, and me, and everyone else you ever conned. I just made sure people finally saw it." The dinner party transformed into something between a wake and a war council. Raymond's victims, our victims, began coordinating their civil lawsuits. Tommy conducted interviews. Angela arrived with more documentation to hand over to the police. I stood in my restaurant, surrounded by the chaos, and felt empty. Yes, Raymond would face consequences now. Criminal charges, civil lawsuits, social exile. His name would be mud in every circle he'd tried to infiltrate. Tommy's article, set to run the next morning, would ensure he could never con anyone again. But the Golden Lotus was still gone. I was still broke. My mother's money was still lost. Revenge, I was learning, was not the same as justice, and neither one could undo the damage. I was cleaning up after everyone left, around 2 a.m, when someone knocked on the locked front door. Through the glass, I saw a woman I didn't recognize. Early 60s, expensively dressed, with kind eyes. I opened the door. "I'm sorry, we're closed." "I know. I'm Diane Castellano. I was at the dinner tonight. May I come in?" The name meant nothing to me, but something in her manner made me step aside. "I've been watching you work tonight," she said, settling into a chair uninvited. "The way you commanded that kitchen, the food you prepared despite everything you're going through. My late husband always said you could tell everything about a person by watching them under pressure." "Mrs. Castellano, I appreciate whatever you're about to say, but I'm very tired. I own a hotel chain," she interrupted. "Boutique properties in major cities. We've been looking to add signature restaurants to our locations, but I've been waiting to find the right chef partner. Someone with real talent, integrity, and the ability to handle adversity." I stared at her. "I don't understand." "I'm offering you a job, Mr. Chen." "No, I'm offering you a partnership. 3 restaurants in 3 cities to start, with you as executive chef and creative director. Equal partnership, proper contracts. My lawyers will make sure everything is ironclad. You'll have full creative control over the menus, and you'll finally be properly compensated for your talent." "Why?" I asked, stunned. "You don't even know me." "I know Raymond bankrupted my nephew 5 years ago," she said quietly. "Same scheme, different city. My nephew never recovered. He's working as a line cook in someone else's kitchen now, afraid to dream big again. When I heard about tonight, about what you did, I had to come. Not just because you exposed Raymond, but because even in the middle of your own crisis, you created something beautiful. That dinner was extraordinary, Marcus. And people who can create beauty in the darkest moments are exactly the kind of people I want to work with." I couldn't speak. After everything, after the betrayal and loss and revenge, the universe was offering me a second chance. "I can't promise it will be easy," Diane continued. "Building something new never is, but I can promise it will be fair. And I think you've had enough of unfair to last a lifetime." I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it. Here's my card. Call me when you're ready." She left me standing in my empty restaurant, holding a business card and a fragile new hope. Tommy's article ran the next morning. It was devastating, thorough, and viral within hours. By afternoon, 3 more of Raymond's victims had come forward from other states. The criminal investigation expanded. Raymond's lawyer was already negotiating a plea deal that would include significant prison time and full financial disclosure. The foreclosure on the Golden Lotus still went through. I said goodbye to the space that had been my home for 12 years, running my hand along the kitchen counters one last time before the locks changed. But I made the call to Diane Castellano. 6 months later, I stood in the kitchen of Lotus Reimagined, the first of 3 restaurants I'd opened in partnership with Diane's hotel chain. The reviews were spectacular, the investors were happy, and most importantly, I owned my own success this time, with contracts that protected me and a partner who valued integrity over shortcuts. Raymond Kellerman was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for wire fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. His victims, including me, would eventually recover about 30 cents on the dollar through asset seizures and the bankruptcy proceedings. My mother would never get all her money back, but I was now in a position to support her retirement myself. Sometimes late at night, after service ended, and I was alone in my new kitchen, I thought about revenge, about that dinner party, about the look on Raymond's face when his world collapsed, about the satisfaction of watching him be led away in handcuffs. It had felt good in the moment, but it wasn't what saved me. What saved me was community, Angela risking her job to show me the truth, Tommy using his skills to help expose fraud, all those restaurant industry connections coming together to support one of their own. And yes, even Diane Castellano seeing potential in my darkest hour. Revenge had been the match that lit the fire, but rebuilding was the warmth that kept me alive. I'd walked home in the rain that night, convinced I'd lost everything. But I'd learned that sometimes losing everything just means you're finally free to build something better, something that's truly yours, something that can't be gambled away by anyone but yourself. The Golden Lotus was gone, but I had bloomed elsewhere, in better soil, under open sky, and that, I realized, was the best revenge of all. Not just surviving, but thriving. Not just enduring, but creating something beautiful from the ashes. Raymond had taken 12 years of my life. I'd made sure he faced consequences for that. But more importantly, I'd made sure he couldn't take my future too. 3 months after Lotus Reimagined opened, I received a letter. Prison mail, Raymond's name in the return address. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won. Inside was a single page, his handwriting shaky. Marcus, I know you'll probably never forgive me, and I don't deserve forgiveness. But I need you to know that prison has given me time to think clearly for the first time in years. I had a gambling addiction I never admitted, and I destroyed lives because I was too proud and too weak to ask for help. What you did at that dinner, exposing me, was the best thing that ever happened to me. I hated you for it at first, but now I understand you saved my life. I was going to keep doing this until I either ended up dead or caused someone else's death. I'm getting help now, real help, and I'm trying to make amends, though I know I can never truly repay what I took from you and the others. I just wanted you to know that when I get out, I won't be the same person who destroyed the Golden Lotus. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry and thank you for stopping me. Raymond. I read it 3 times, feeling a complicated mix of emotions. Anger still, yes, but also something like closure. I didn't write back. Maybe someday I would, maybe not. But I folded the letter carefully and put it in my desk drawer. A reminder that even revenge can lead to redemption, though never in the ways we expect. That night, I created a new dish for the menu. A deconstructed lotus flower made from delicate vegetables and edible flowers, served on a bed of black volcanic salt representing the ashes we all rise from. I called it Second Bloom. It became our signature dish, and every time I prepared it, I remembered that rainy walk home, that moment of complete despair. And I smiled because I'd walked through that rain and come out the other side not bitter, but better. The restaurant had been gambled away, but I had gambled on myself, bet everything on second chances and new beginnings. And this time, I won.